My mother-in-law tried to ruin my wedding, but Grandma had other plans. The silence in the room was deafening. You know that kind of silence? The one that crawls under your skin and makes your blood run cold. It had all started with a toast that ripped my fairy tale wedding to shreds and left me standing there, exposed and humiliated. Looking back, I should have seen the storm brewing, but I was too blinded by love, too naive to understand the depths of my future mother-in-law's disdain. She said, pointing at me, but before I get to the excruciating details of that day, let me rewind and tell you how a small town girl ended up entangled in a world of wealth, status, and cutthroat social climate. In the heart of a quaint town, nestled among rolling hills and winding roads, our small weathered houses and friendly faces was the universe in itself, a microcosm of simple joys and genuine connections. It was here, amidst the simplicity and warmth of family love, let my story begin. My parents, wonderful, salt-of-the-earth people, shaped my view of the world. My father, a skilled carpenter, built more than just houses. He built character. My mother, a school teacher, filled our home with books and stories, fostering a love of learning and a belief in the power of kindness. Neighbors greeted each other with familiarity, and community events were the highlights of our social calendar. I cherished this life, finding joy in the small pleasures, the rustling of leaves underfoot and the chorus birds at dawn. It was at the local library where I first encountered Mark. He was unlike anyone I had known, a visitor from the city with an air of sophistication, yet an unassuming nature that drew me in. His family was well known in business circles, but Mark was a refreshing anomaly in that world. Our initial conversations were tentative, like worlds cautiously orbiting each other. He spoke of city life, the fast pace, the endless opportunities. I shared stories of my town, the annual harvest festival, the serene walks by the stream. In those early days, our conversation stretched for hours under the velvet sky. One evening, Mark said to me, his voice changed with a vulnerability I had not seen before. Anna, he said, I've always been surrounded by people who care more about wealth and status. But with you, I found a serenity that I didn't know existed. You've shown me a different way of life. His words stirred something deep within me. He added, it's who we are when we're together that matters. You brought a new perspective into my life, opening my eyes to dreams I never dared to have. But there was a shadow hanging over our burgeoning happiness, particularly his mother, a woman of elegance and icy demeanor. He spoke of her with respect, but also with a hint of trepidation. She has her own ideas about who I should be with. I'm just worried about how she'll react to us. I reached out, taking his hand in mine, feeling a slight tremor. We'll face that together, I assured him. Love isn't about backgrounds or expectations. It's about two people who choose each other against all odds. The day Mark proposed was as unassuming as our love. No grand gestures, just a heartfelt promise of a life together. As I looked into his eyes, I knew this was just the beginning. The evening I was set to meet Mark's family, my nerves were on fire. The grandeur of their mansion loomed large as we approached, a stark reminder of the different worlds Mark and I came from. Mark held my hand, giving me a reassuring look. Just be yourself, Anna. That's all you need to be. I smiled weakly, trying to calm the rising anxiety. I just hope your mom doesn't think I'm out of place. He squeezed my hand reassuringly. Mom can be a bit much. Just remember I'm here with you. As we entered the opulent dining room, Mark's mother, Marion, a statuesque woman with an air of austerity, greeted us. Her eyes quickly took me in, a flicker of disapproval passing over her face. So, this is the young lady who's captured my son's heart. Interesting choice, Mark. Dinner was an elaborate affair, the table set with dishes I couldn't even name. Mark's mother offered me a plate with a sly smile. I suppose these dishes might be a bit too sophisticated for your taste, Anna. We could get something simpler if you prefer. I felt a flush of embarrassment but managed a polite decline. No thank you. I'm always eager to try new things. As the evening progressed, the subtle jabs continued. Is that what passes an evening wear in your town? It must be challenging to find good clothes on a modest budget. Mark jumped in, trying to steer the conversation elsewhere, but his mother was unrelenting. Tell me, Anna, what do your parents do? It's always fascinating to learn about different walks of life. I answered, feeling the weight of her judgment. My father is a carpenter and my mother is a school teacher. Oh, how quaint, she replied, her voice dripping with condescension. Hard-working people, I'm sure, but I suppose they couldn't offer you much in the way of a financial head start. My parents' humble occupations and even my salary became ammunition for her subtle attacks. Mark was visibly uncomfortable. Anna, you handled yourself well. Don't let her get to you. She'll come around. He turned to me and offered his sincerest apologies. I'm so sorry, Anna. I didn't think she'd be this. It's okay, Mark, I replied. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I love you. That night, as I lay in bed, the sting of his mother's words lingered, but beneath the hurt was a steely resolve. This was more than just about fitting in. It was a test of our love and my strength, and I was ready to face it head on. As the wedding day approached, the air was thick with excitement and unfortunately, growing tension. Marian, who had taken it upon herself to oversee the preparations, seemed determined to make my life as difficult as possible. One afternoon, over a dress fitting, Mark's mother, however, had other ideas. That dress, an interesting choice. Don't you want to make a statement on your big day? Her voice was laced with a patronizing tone. Mark squeezed my hand under the table, giving me a supportive look. Mom, Anna looks beautiful in that dress. It's her choice, and it's perfect. But his mother was relentless. Come now, let's be realistic. This is a high-profile event. People expect a certain standard. You should consider something more fitting of our family's status. I tried to keep my voice steady. I appreciate your concern, but I really love my dress. It's special to me. Her response was a dismissive wave. Well, it's your day, I suppose. But remember, it's not just about you. It's about how you represent us. As the days went by, her comments became more frequent and cutting. Marian criticized the flower arrangements, the menu choices, even the invitations, constantly highlighting my perceived inability to meet her lofty standards. Mark and I had many conversations about this. I can't believe she's being so difficult. Frustration evident in his voice. I wish you could just see how amazing you are, how you make me happy. I would lie there, feeling his arms around me, a mix of love and sorrow in my heart. I knew it wouldn't be easy marrying into your family, but I didn't expect it to be this hard. The wedding day dawned bright and clear, a stark contrast to the turmoil churning within me. My parents and I worked hard to make everything perfect despite the constant criticisms from Marian. I hoped that they would pass without incident. The ceremony was beautiful, filled with love and heartfelt vows. Mark's eyes shining with affection and promise as we exchanged our rings. However, looming over the joyous occasion was the apprehension of the reception to follow, particularly the speeches. As expected, Marian took the microphone. The air was thick with expectation as she began to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, she started, her voice louder and clear. Today, we have gathered to witness the union of my son, Mark, with Anna. Whispers spread through the guests. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. She continued, saying that in charitably heart and lifting a beggar from the streets, we must be cautious. It's essential to keep our family's reputation and standards high, not let them be diluted by those who are clearly freeloaders seeking to elevate their status by clinging to a family of higher standing. The room fell into a stunned silence. Mark's face was a mask of disbelief and anger. The guests, acquaintances, and even our closest friends were unsure of how to react. My heart sank, and a profound shame washed over me. Those words, so cruel and so public, were more than just insults. They were a deliberate attempt to shame and belittle me in front of everyone we cared about. To conclude this awful toast to our future, the applause was hesitant and muted, and the room was enveloped in an awkward silence. Mark stood up, his voice trembling slightly. I'm so sorry, Anna. This isn't what I wanted. His eyes were apologetic, filled with a mix of love and sorrow. I looked around at the shocked faces of our guests, feeling incredibly humiliated. The weight of her words hung heavily in the air, casting a shadow over what was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives. The atmosphere at the reception was still tense following the disparaging speech by Mark's mother when his grandmother, Mrs. Eleanor, a figure of respect and authority in the family, requested the microphone. Her request drew the attention of all the guests. Good evening, she began, her voice calm but firm. I have something important to say. Anna, you have faced unwarranted criticism today, criticism that no one deserves, especially not on their wedding day. I looked up in surprise, as did Mark. Mrs. Eleanor then turned towards Marian. It seems we have forgotten our own past and where we come from. Let me remind everyone here that you were once where Anna is now. So who are you to speak like this? A hush fell over the room. Mark's mother's face turned a shade paler, eyes widening in shock and embarrassment. Mrs. Eleanor continued, her tone unyielding. So for a former maid to stand here and scorn someone for their humble beginnings and modest means is not only ironic, but deeply hypocritical. You who rose from poverty should be the last person to judge or belittle another based on their background. We should be proud of Anna's integrity and strength. In this family, kindness trumps status, and Anna exemplifies these values. The room erupted into applause, a stark contrast to the earlier muted response. Marian sat there, completely humbled, her earlier arrogance replaced by a visible sense of shame. To be honest, I didn't feel sorry for her. Mark whispered to me, I never expected Grandma to stand up for us like this. I squeezed his hand, feeling a wave of relief wash over me. The rest of the evening felt lighter, the air cleared by Mrs. Eleanor's candid defense. Guests approached with warm congratulations and sincere smiles, and I felt that they were all on my side. It felt damn good. As we left the reception, hand in hand, I felt a renewed sense of confidence and belonging. Mrs. Eleanor's words had shifted the dynamics. breaking the insidious plan of a cruel and not the smartest woman in Mark's family. She's like a dense fog. It all came to a head during a family meeting at Mrs. Eleanor's house. As we gathered in the grand living room, the tension was palpable. What happened at the wedding cannot be overlooked. The way you spoke to Anna, it was disgraceful. Mrs. Eleanor began. Marian, her usual confidence dimmed, offered a weak response. Eleanor, I've already apologized to Anna. Her voice changed with a hint of defiance. It's not just about an apology, Mrs. Eleanor retorted. Your actions reflect on this entire family. Mark's father nodded in agreement, his expression serious. My mother is right. You've lost sight of what's important. Mrs. Eleanor then laid out her decision, each word delivered with clarity. I've decided to cut off the financial support you've been receiving. It's time you start contributing to this family instead of just taking. You'll need to find a job and learn to live within your means. The shock on Marian's face was priceless. She turned to her husband, seeking support. You can't agree with this. She can't just cut me off like this. But, to Marian's surprise, her husband nodded his head. I stand with my mother on this, did her husband. He continued with, you've gone too far this time. It's for your own good. Who had been silent, said Mom, Grandma's decision is harsh, but it's fair. You need to understand the impact of your words and your actions. I sat there watching the scene unfold, feeling a mix of sympathy and relief. Mark squeezed my hand under the table, a silent show of support. The meeting ended with Mark's mother in a state of shock, the reality of her situation slowly sinking in. I could barely contain a chuckle. As we left, Mark leaned in close. I never thought I'd see the day and Mom would be at a loss for words. But maybe this is what she needs to change. I replied, feeling a cautious hope for the future. Perhaps this will be a new beginning for her and for all of us. The family reckoning had been tough but necessary, and hopefully, it would ultimately lead to a better outcome for everyone involved. The honeymoon was a welcome escape for Mark and me. As we walked along the sandy beaches, the turquoise waves gently lapping at our feet, the weight of the world seemed to lift from our shoulders. One evening, as we watched the sunset paint the sky in vibrant hues, Mark turned to me, his eyes filled with sincerity. I'm sorry our wedding turned into such a drama, Anna. I wish things had been different. Feeling the warmth of his embrace, I leaned into him. It's okay, Mark. It wasn't your fault. What matters is we're together now. I paused and nodded, away from all that stress. Looking out over the ocean, he nodded slowly. Yeah, but when we go back, we'll have to face the reality of my mom's situation. It's going to be tough for her. Understanding his concern, I replied, maybe this will be a chance for her to grow, to see things from a different perspective. And reaffirming our love to each other. And under the clear starry sky, we spent our very last night of the honeymoon. You know, and everything that happened, it made me realize how important you are to me. I can't imagine going through life with anyone else. As my lips curved for an upward smile, I feel the same, I said, and continued with Mark. We've been through a lot, but it's only made our relationship stronger. We can handle whatever comes our way as long as we're together. As we headed back home, I felt a sense of peace. The honeymoon had not only been a break from the chaos, but a time for us to solidify our bond, to prepare ourselves for the new chapter in our lives. The future was uncertain, but I was ready to face it with Mark by my side. Coming back from our honeymoon, the car ride was quiet, both of us lost in our thoughts about the new family dynamics that awaited us. As we arrived at Mark's family home, the first thing we noticed was the absence of Mark's mother. Then, Mrs. Eleanor, who wore an annoying smile, greeted us with welcome back. We replied, you two. I suppose you're wondering about the changes here, she said. We agreed with a yes. Where's Mom? Mrs. Eleanor took a deep breath, her smile still in place, and said, well, after you left, Marian caused quite a scene and demanded that I restore her financial support. Then when I refused, she decided to leave. She's now living in a small apartment, and as she continued, from what I hear is looking for a job. Mark and I exchanged glances, the news sinking in. It was a drastic change from the luxurious life she was used to. And there's more, Mrs. Eleanor continued, then explained your father is considering a divorce. He's had enough of her antics and seems that she finally pushed him to fall while stating she brought it upon herself. Mark's expression was one of shock mixed with a hint of relief. I can't believe it. I mean, I knew things would change, but this is more than I expected. I reached out and told him it's a lot to take in, but maybe this is for the best. A chance for everyone to start fresh or on a more honest footing, and for your dad too, to find some peace. And grabbed hold of his hand. Dinner that night was an oddly serene affair, but not in the way we had anticipated. The conversation was more open, and for the first time in a long time, it felt like there was a real sense of family. As we drove home later that evening, Mark said I always hoped for a change, but I didn't expect it to happen like this. It's going to be a big adjustment for Mom. I nodded. It's a tough situation, but maybe it's a necessary step for her to grow. The ride home was reflective, with both of us contemplating the new reality we were returning to. The family we left before the honeymoon was not the same one we were coming back to. It was a sobering thought, But in many ways changed, and we were ready to face it together. So tell me, Reddit, based on everything you've heard, do you think I handled this situation correctly? Was I too passive, too forgiving? Or did I strike the right balance between standing up for myself and trying to maintain some semblance of peace within the family? What would you have done differently? I'm genuinely curious to hear your perspectives and any advice you might have as we navigate this new chapter in our lives together.